Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I see people talking about this Halloween stream, and I apologize. America's sick. She was trying to fight through it. It's like, no, I feel bad, Corey. I'm gonna do it. I'm like, no, no smile, no heart. She's sick in bed, but she's well taken care of. She has YouTube TV and pho. So kind of tough. Vandy beat Bama. I was watching the whole thing. Trust me, I was in this chair for the past 2.5 hours. Shirley was sick in the rewatch. Yeah, got worse today. Fuzz the key to feeling better. That's what I said. I walked all the way down, and then like I accidentally ordered a large, like a fucking pot of it instead of just like a meal. But yeah, so hopefully she feels better. So hold your Halloween costumes for a couple days. I apologize. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do a normal, just coming on your yapping stream. We'll set up a PowerPoint. We'll upset people online. Classic Cory stream. Oh, I've been getting fed up with Twitter, y'all. And it's not even like drama about me or anything serious. I just hate dumb opinions. Hate dumb opinions, dumb people. Talk about the Terran stuff. There's not any Terran stuff. It's just the people. Like, you know who's the problem in the community? The people who consistently call out the racism and misogyny that happens in the house. Who I've never listened to once, so just project onto them the idea that they are perpetrators of racism and misogyny. It's just silly. And anyone who listens to any of these people know. And I guess here's like, okay, here let's it's I'm gonna stop playing Pitbull for a second because this is a somewhat nuanced topic, so let's treat it with the appropriate level of nuance. Let me lower the gain and bring the mic closer, okay? Let's get real intimate here, okay? Absolutely. Because Chelsea is a black woman, she is going to be treated with certain biases that a white male like Derek Levasseur, Will Kirby, Dan Giesling won't, right? Of course. People will try to downplay her game in a way that they won't try to downplay these, straight to set white dudes. Of course, that happens, right? So that's one thing. Let's put it to the side. That does happen. We all agree. Now, let's make sure we're not fighting ghosts when it comes to criticizing Chelsea's game. Because, and this is just me, maybe it's just my algorithm feeding this to me, I feel like Derek's win is always downplayed because of how dumb the cast is. Like, that's the main discussion point. And people are very critical of Derek. As a person, and less so as a player, but his game is very much pointed at, like, oh, he would just a dog walk to the final too. Like, that was the rhetoric. That is the rhetoric. Now, is it used to penalize him super hard? No. Should it be used to penalize Chelsea super hard? No. I don't think so. I might rank season 16 as one of the better casts in terms of ability. I could see both arguments, but I'm just saying, like, the rhetoric around the season. Like, on Twitter, people are not super fond of Derek's game or Cody's game, especially Cody's. Cody's dominant winning game is almost discounted entirely by Twitter. And I'm not saying whether that's fair or not. Like, that's a different discussion. But I feel like this happens, right? So, like, of course, there's the biases that influence discourse, and then there's also the straw men people are using to make their arguments. Not to call debate lord on you all, right? It's like you'll do nothing. You'll never say this about Cody or Derek. Well, I think that's what everyone says about Cody and Derek. Like, Cody's whole thing is the whole game was pre-gamed. Who cares about his win? And Derek's is, it was a stupid cast and he just won. I think that's a bit strong, Nicholas. I don't think she's a shit human. Look, I think Chelsea is very religious. I think that influences the way she views the world and some of the things she does. It's not for me, personally, but I think she's a fine human being. Is she mean in moments? Yeah. I think, look, and this is maybe just my experience in the house. I've seen worse. Nothing I have seen Chelsea do has made me think she's a bad person. None of it. Like, there's things that if I were a friend, I would call her out for, but, like, that's all. And something I tweeted that I stand by is the reason why it seems like there's so much Chelsea criticism, despite her playing a very, very strong, most likely winning game, is because it's the season that's happening right now. Like, I promise, like, when Vanessa was playing her game, she was getting critiqued far more than this in these last moments, right? And like, when Cody's playing, we're all critiquing the way that he's fucking up and giving Tyler the game up until Tyler literally folds in on himself. So, I think Chelsea is very clearly a really, really good Big Brother player. One of the better players to ever do it. But it's okay to discuss the flaws in her game. Like, discussing the flaws in Chelsea's game is not tearing down Chelsea as a game player. Like, what are we supposed to do? We're at the Final Four. There's not that much to talk about. We're not going to talk about the daily happenings in the house. And I promise, and this is a promise, can I promise this because I don't know it? I don't know. 10 years from now, people are not going to be talking about Chelsea and all the flip-flopping that she would do on the Leah vote, or not the Leah vote, the Joseph vote and the Quinn. It'll just be lost to time, and we'll remember her as being the main driving force of every vote from the final 10 on. Which she has been, except for T-Core. Like, that's how this works. Like, right now, we're all very aware of all the mistakes Chelsea's made and all the messiness and all the sloppiness. 10 years from now, it'll be lost to time in the same way. If I'd ask you, like, what were Derek's biggest mistakes at the final 6 on, you all would have a tougher time telling me. Same with Dan in 14, even more so with, like, people from before that. Oh, Brenna. What did you send me? The body count clip? Here's the thing. They all set each other up with that question. There was no good answer. And I think a lot of the shit-talking of Leah has been annoying. I've not been a fan of it. It seems very familiar for Big Brother. My one caveat, and this does not make it okay, 2 things can be wrong without them being right as a combination, is Leah talked a lot of shit too. like Leah was a certified shit talker. And I don't think Leah ever crossed any lines. I think you could say maybe Rubina and Chelsea are crossing a few more lines, same with MJ, but I think we can all do a little bit less of the demonizing on Twitter. Like, everyone, there's a lot of shit talkers. Shit talking and line crossing aren't the same thing. I mean, I think people would argue a lot of the Quinn stuff. Where does that fall on the shit talking versus line crossing? And I like Leah a lot. I'm sure I'll hang out with Leah post show. Like, I think she seems wonderful. But, like, you know. It's like you can criticize one behavior, but just don't act like it's all, not reciprocated in any meaningful way. So that frustrated me. I think it's fine to criticize Chelsea's game. If you're trying to tear her down, that's silly. She should be celebrated as a player, but, like, that celebration does not need to be, unanimous. It doesn't have to be uniform celebration. That's all. Because that's not how Big Brother is. Like, a perfect game has never been played on Big Brother. Stop, like, everyone has made a ton of mistakes. Cody in 22, despite the pre-gaming, made a ton of mistakes. Derek in 16, ton of mistakes. Like, the game is too long and we see too much. So, anyways, today we're taking on a project, okay? Oh, let me say that too, Matt. the Chelsea, Chelsea's game is strong enough where I don't think we need to rewrite history to make it stronger. Like, there's a lot to respect there already. Like, we don't need to, pretend she did other stuff to make her game even stronger. Like, her game's really strong. It's very strong. She doesn't need our help. Just rank her number 1 this season. We'll see, Lola. So, today's project, based on the entirety of this season, we will be ranking all 16 players. Not counting Ainsley, so to anyone who's going to ask. Now, this ranking, much like our weekly player ranking, is built upon a rich tapestry. It is not simply judging how they placed. If we just wanted to see how they placed, we'd go to BB Wiki. We'd open the New York Times and check the scoreboard. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is using the complex algorithm, using the rich tapestry to determine, based on the season that we watched. So we're not going to be projecting like crazy. Based on the season that we watched, who had the most impressive showing in the season? Who was the best player of the season? Queen Lisa getting that number 1 she deserves. I know that's right. Well, look, the complex algorithm does crazy things. I don't know if it does things that crazy. Her stock has gone up since the release of the glitter critter, though. I've got to admit that. So, we're ranking all 16 players. I found the bottom 4 of this list was some of the easiest things I've ever done in my life. Bottom 5. Boom, 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 boom. Top 3, boom, boom, boom. That, 12 to 4 ranking, if you have those ordered in any way, I don't give a shit. If you have my number 12 as your number 4, I'd be willing to listen to it. My number 4 is your number 12. This season has a lot of people in that category. So I want to preface with that. I did rank them in order, and I'll defend that order, but I want that out there. The gap is not that big in that middle grouping. Your Brooklyn ranking about to be obnoxiously high? Why do you say that? So, at number 16, the worst player in all of Big Brother 26. What are your predictions? I gotta know. Kenny, Jag, Kenny, Tucker, Kenny, Matt, Kenny. Well, you guys are 1 for 1. It's Kenny. Sweet Kenny K. Now, look, if we were ranking social media presence, Kenny would be number 1 and it wouldn't be close. I totally understand what casting saw in Kenny. He seems like a ridiculously hilarious dude. I like him a lot. I think he's been great. As a player, he wanted to quit the entire season. He was there for 3 weeks, wanted to quit. He showed a lot of competition ability, which is good. Socially, he was immediately outcast. Strategically, he knew the game but didn't do anything with it. Got put in a bad position early and didn't try to get out of it. I think what's most frustrating with Kenny's game is, you guys might not remember, but that week where he was being evicted, the house was kind of splitting. You had the Visionaries doing their thing. but they didn't really trust Quinn, and the Pentagon was still there, but it was kind of breaking apart, and Tucker started gathering his troops. And Kenny could have been a very valuable number for a lot of people if he just made himself available, and he didn't. And he got evicted, and it was over. Like, I don't think Kenny was drawing dead at all. But based on what we saw, he wanted to quit the entire time. He did win a veto. Good for him. Almost won a few HOHs. But quite simply, Kenny never had a chance. He quit. So, pretty straightforward, this one. No debate in my mind about who number 16 would be. So, that was an easy one. Who do you all think I have at number 15? Numero 15. Katie guesses Matt. So does Chewy. Saltran. Cabrera guesses Lisa. Okay, Lisa and Matt seem to be the main. What if I told you? You guys were right. I have Matt at 15. Look, it happens quite often. So let me hedge that statement with that. Being this archetype and going out first is pretty tough. Like, how does that happen? You really got to kind of go out of your way to get evicted first as this archetype. But Matt had a pretty unfortunate HOH outcome, I guess you can call it. A lot of people liked him, but Angela just didn't vibe with him. Of course, it's not like it was super unlucky. It was week 1, so everyone was on a level playing field with Angela. But his conversation with Angela, while it wasn't good, it certainly wasn't as bad as Angela made it out to be. He gets immediately ostracized by Angela, and the house almost like flips on her, but weirdly not towards him. Usually that happens on Big Brother. When someone like berates somebody else, the rest of the house clings to that other person's defense. No one cared about Matt because Matt really didn't have a sense of what was going on in the house ever. He had his barbershop alliance that was never real. He attached himself to Kenny, not the right person to attach yourself to. And he really struggled making connections outside of his little circle. He had MJ, he had Kenny, he had a little bit of Leah, but even Leah was kind of straggling. We just didn't see enough from Matt. He also was not a fan, like, never seen the show before, so I wouldn't expect him to do very well going into the season. I think he was on a lot of our early boot radars, and he was even earlier than we thought. His storage room chats that lasted the whole day. I think he's a fun first boot. I think he's a fun player. In a weird way, if he gets asked back, I'd be kind of down to watch it. But based on what we saw, he just didn't have a good enough social game. His strategic game was really bad, and physically, we just didn't get to see him be the alpha jock bro that he is. What was that week 1 veto? What was it? Was it Lisa who won? It was the spelling comp. He should have been pretty good at that. I mean, that's a pretty physical comp. So, you know. I don't got too much else to say about Matt. Funny on Twitter. Or not. I think his one-sided war against BB Twitter is pretty funny. I'm here for it. I'm Team Matt in that regard, by the way. He didn't compete. Right, he was left off the block. That was also a weird situation. It's kind of unbelievable he wasn't nominated initially. Angela was extending an olive branch to him. Yeah. Being Team Matt is crazy. I pretend I didn't hear that. Hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, who do you all think I have at number 14? I think 16 and 15 were pretty straightforward. I know who you guys are going to guess for 14. What I will say is the gap between 14 and 13 was extremely close to me. 14 and 13, super close. A lot of guesses. A lot of Lisas and Tuckers, Quinns, Chemos, Joseph, Brooklyn. All right, well, at number 14, I have Lisa. I really didn't want to rank Lisa at 14. She actually seemed okay. I mean, she really wasn't familiar with the show, and socially, she just wasn't able to make any bonds. Everyone in the house collectively chose to keep Angela over her for very little of a reason, which is pretty damning. She won a veto, which is very good, but she was just on the bottom and was never able to get out of there. She forged a couple good connections. She had a good bond with Leah. She had a pretty good bond with Quinn. Beyond that, there just wasn't that much there for Lisa to do. She was fun. Sup, Cubs fan? Thank you, Moose, for the sub, by the way. I don't know if I saw it. People online being ironic with the Lisa love? Maybe one of those, like, it starts off ironic, but then you're like, she's actually pretty cool. Of course, she had a one-sided vendetta. Tucker just hated her, which sucks. She also had another one with Angela. You could say that's a testament to her poor social game, but Angela and Tucker are Tucker and Angela. Like, I don't know. I don't blame her as much for that as maybe other people would. She was just in a bad position at the start. She didn't have much of a chance of getting out of that bad position, and she was evicted third. I think it's about that simple with the Leah math. Or the Lisa math, rather. So, leads us to number 13. So far, we've listed 3 of the first 4 boots. Will we see the 4th here? Will we keep sticking to the standings? Chemo. Someone says Angela, but should be Tucker. Angela, Tucker, Cedric, Chemo, Angela, Tucker. At number 13, I have Tucker. And look, he's number 13 for compability. He's a comp beast. On a season with inequitable comps, he could make a really deep run. Granted, on most seasons, his biggest risk would be being backdoored early game, which was impossible this season. Saved himself at least 1 week due to the AI arena. Could have done it again. Failed to. Cubs fan. With the 10 gifters. I like how you announce yourself, Cubs fan. Say, hey, what's up? Before gifting 10. You said you just wanted to like get your footing, make sure everyone in the chat acknowledged you, give me $50. I appreciate you, Cubs fan. Been a while. Yeah, it's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. I appreciate it, though. Thanks, bud. Thanks, Cubs. I'm going to keep it moving, but type anything in the chat. I'll respond. You've got your own little window. So, coming off surgery. I hope it went well. Hope you're having an easy recovery. I had a really serious surgery only once, and it did not go well. And then I had to get that same surgery again. So hopefully I got all the bad surgery juju out of the way. So you get to just chill. So you had surgery twice, you liar? Well, not really. The first one removed my testicle, and the second one couldn't remove that same testicle. You know, so it's like it's 2 surgeries, but really just 1. I think the second one was just exploratory, just for fun. The surgeon said run it back. Shout out giving a Brando Meyer. If you love Blue Tribe's Kaizo Ironman and great laughs, check out Brando Meyer's Twitch stream. If you like cold, hard facts and analysis and rich tapestry, stay here. That's all I'll say on the matter. Thank you, Cubs fan. Thank you, My Nut, for the prime. Brando's alt. Appreciate you, Brando. But yeah, thank you, My Nut. I appreciate it. My One Nut. Thank you. Sorry, I misunderstood. Sorry. My One Nut. Not my nut. Very different things. Oh boy. All right, back to Tucker. Sorry, Tucker. Look, Tucker is ridiculously good at competitions. This season has had very equitable comps, and he still was very dominant in competitions. So, tons of respect. It's a huge part of the game, whether we like it or not, and he's very good at that part of the game. However, Tucker is potentially the worst strategic player in Big Brother history, at least in the mix. He had one HOH, and I think he did a good job on his HOH. He put up the right people. But he also had a couple of vetoes, and his veto decisions were some of the most blasphemous bullshit I've ever seen in Big Brother, which is why a lot of people love him. He was on the block. He was the target. He won the veto. He took off his weakest competition in the AI arena and then bailed himself out by winning the AI arena. So again, he fully Marcellused himself, would have put him in the running for the worst player of all time, survived it, and we saw how those AI arenas were. He's not winning all those shortly. He lost one of them straight up. But we forget about that because he survived. It's not a big deal. He also took Quinn off the block for no reason on his HOH. You know, just another thing to mention. He consistently volunteered for the block, even when his own allies were in power. T-Core wins the HOH. Tucker, for all intents and purposes, should be dead safe for the week. Volunteers himself for the block, ends up getting evicted, blindsiding T-Core. So it's just not good. Strategically, he's terrible. The reason why I rank him higher than the people we've had so far is, first of all, competition ability, and second, he does have a certain social magnetism about him. I don't think his social game is very good. He ostracized a lot of people. But he does have a certain way with certain people. It felt like at some point, like the final 13, final 12, it was like, is Tucker just going to steamroll the rest of the game? Because it felt like everyone in the cast was obsessed with him. Rubina obviously was with him. Chemo had a crush on him. Leah had a crush on him. Angela was in love with him. Joseph was his boy. We did the Brant steal halfway through the season where we mapped out all the alliances and the relationships. And Tucker won like every one of those simulations. He was in the best spot. Of course, Tucker is not someone who can maintain a good position. MJ loved him too. I'm thrilled. Vanderbilt was killing it today. Finally have a dynamic offense. First time since I've been watching them. Tucker's at 13. I was debating between 13 or 14, but I landed on 13. So, this takes us to number 12. Number 12. Chewy gets his Joseph. Lila says Joseph. Floofy says Chemo. JJ says Angela. Rubina, Joseph. Looks like Joseph is everyone's desired choice. The majority of people want me to say Joseph. Well, at number 12, and you guys are not going to like this, I have Angela. And I think Angela deserves to be ranked lower. Deep down in my heart, who do I think is a better player, Lisa or Angela? Deep down, lie detector, polygraph. I think Lisa's better. But Angela was terrible. And she was amazing. And I would love to see her on my TV again. She's a star. One of the standouts of the season. But she was terrible. She won the first HOH and probably had the worst first HOH we've ever seen. And we've seen Frenchie. Frenchie's was not this bad. I'm sorry. Much worse person, not as bad of an HOH. Riley, not as bad of an HOH. Terrible. She almost threw away all of her win equity on day 3. It was over. Now, she made it far because, again, placement is not everything. Sometimes when you're viewed as such a non-threat, you are dragged along in the game even when you're winning competitions. No matter how many comps Angela won, people still perceived her as someone who was an automatic, I can beat her in a competition. And I think I would view her the same way. Because she could win quizzes, but there's so many non-quizzes. So Angela surviving the block endlessly is as an argument many people use to support an Angela type player. People put Felicia in that category. Angela was surviving the block due to absolutely no work of Angela herself. Later in the season, I think she had more to do with her staying on the block. Otherwise, she was getting blindsided and oftentimes actively trying to get herself evicted. Or no, not trying to get herself evicted. Her actions had the effect of making it more likely for her to get evicted. So, she was super duper self-destructive, almost as much as Tucker. Whenever she would find herself in an okay position, she would do everything to destroy it. She had a ton of people wanting to work with her and alienated every single one of them. She tried her heart out to alienate Leah. Somehow wasn't able to, but she totally ostracized Joseph and Quinn and Chemo and most famously Tucker. Angela getting Quinn out was a pretty good move. It was unbelievably unintentional. like she tried to backtrack. She tried to backtrack because she was like, "Oh no, I didn't mean for it to come across that way." I want us to be very careful because right now we have a fresh memory of the season, and 2 years from now we won't. So let's remember it all the right way. Angela got extremely paranoid, went and talked to Chelsea by accident. Quinn gets put up as a result. And then she was apologizing to Chelsea, being like, "I didn't actually say that." Started melting down. She voted for him to stay. Ah! You're right. You're right. Name one thing Joseph did all season ever. Okay. Let's think about it this way. There's a spectrum of Big Brother. Let's say 1.0 is the perfect player. Here's 0. You can go backwards. Negative values exist. A net 0 impact is better than what Tucker and Angela and Matt and Kenny and Lisa did. It's better. Angela ended her game on day 3. Joseph had never touched the block until the week he was evicted. You guys gotta take the nuance pill instead of the placements pill. This is the good opinion. This is the right opinion, and I look forward to all of you eventually ascribing to the correct opinion. When you guys are ready, just shoot me a DM. We'll welcome you with open arms to the Right Opinions Club. So, with Angela definitively, unanimously being placed at number 12, who do you all think I have at number 11? If you put Cedric next before Joseph, I swear to God. Joseph, hopefully Joseph, Cedric, Rubina, Chemo. Cedric, Rubina. Well, at number 11, I have Joseph. Truthfully, bottom of my heart, I think Joseph is a better player than number 11. I saw a lot of my game in Joseph. Very different. I think I had a stronger game, of course. But I think he was very actively trying to play the middle, and that kept him safe until he was evicted. Even when he was evicted, it was almost a bit of a fluke. First of all, Quinn putting him up is insane. A lot of that is his fault, so whatever, but that's still weird. And then he was going to stay against Chemo until that ridiculous speech that somehow flipped people's votes. So, let's just be real. The circumstances of Joseph's eviction, we simulate the season more times, he probably gets better than 10th. I don't think he gets to the end game, but... Now, let's talk about the good with Joseph. Then we'll get to the bad, because there's obviously a lot of bad. Joseph has a sound strategic mind. He understands the game to a capacity that basically anyone this season didn't, except Chelsea. He had a much better strategic mind than Quinn. Let's just be very clear about that. He knew where he had to go. He knew who he had to work with. He knew how important Tucker was to his game. he generally had the right idea of what to do. He knew when to jump ship and go to the other side, very strategically aware. He was playing all sides. He wasn't playing all sides super well. No one really valued him, but no one thought it was worth targeting him either. Let's talk about the weaker parts of his game. I'm a person who, when I'm doing these kinds of rankings, when I'm evaluating players in general, I value the social game more than just about anything else. Big Brother is a predominantly social game, and on my season it was kind of more of a physical game, but generally speaking, Big Brother is a social game, and Joseph was one of the weakest players socially on this cast. Now, I've talked to Joseph. I think he's a great guy. I think we would have gotten along great in the house, but for whatever reason, he did not vibe with this specific set of people. He had good bonds with Cedric. He was pretty good with Cam. He had this thing with Quinn. He had this thing with Leah. Like, he had bonds, but he just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Brooklyn was not a fan. Chelsea was not a fan. Angelo was never really a fan of his. They were on the same page sometimes. MJ never cared about him. The social game was really bad. And it got him to a point where, even if he gets to the final two, can he beat anybody? Probably he could beat Angela. Maybe he could beat Leah because of all the animosity towards Leah. That might be it. So he was not in a good position jury-wise. He was never good in these one-on-one conversations. Like, a lot of times we'd watch them and be very puzzled as to why he was saying the things he was saying. He was also not super self-aware about how he was being perceived. I think he was kind of living in his own head a little bit, which I understand. It happens. And then I think the final thing that kind of damns Joseph is he just doesn't have competition ability, and that's a huge deal. When you're this kind of player where, like, you're not super insulated by anything, you got to be able to win competitions. He was throwing most of them, but even if he was trying, I think he would have a lot of trouble, in the same way I had a lot of trouble winning competitions. So he's ranked this highly because of his strategic forethought, his strategic ability, his kind of decision-making in general. He had the right idea. He was coasting through the first half of the game, and he really should have survived until jury, and then who knows what happens. But he can't be ranked higher just because of his social shortcomings in this house. So. Also, Sydney, I want to talk about that. Like, I totally believe Joseph was throwing comps, and I spoke to Joseph about this. He knows he wouldn't have won him anyways. Like, I threw every comp until the wall and threw nothing after the wall. I've said that many times. But I wouldn't have to throw any of the comps. Like, I tried my hardest in Cockadoodle Zoom. If I knew I was going to win, I would slow down. But, like, it's not like he would have won any of the comps he threw. Maybe he would have had a chance in one or two of them. Same with me. Like, I could have won maybe a quiz or two. Maybe escaped the nether region, but generally, he's just not a great competitor. You can't definitely demerit him for throwing comps, because that means there was 0 chance he'd win him instead of 1% chance. Okay, who do y'all have at 10th? Who do y'all have at 10th? I fear this is where we're going to have some problems. Rubina, Cedric, Quinn, Brooklyn, Rubina, Cedric, Quinn. At number 10, I have MJ. And I was close to putting her 11th. Now look. I want to preface this with, I low-key am rooting for MJ. I want Chelsea to win. MJ is my second favorite outcome. I think she'd be a really good winner to the season, a very satisfying winner in a weird way, a fun winner. I actually have enjoyed watching her most of the season. I think she's been lower on the shit-talking totem pole. She doesn't do that much. I think she seems very likable. Haza would disagree, yeah. So here's the deal with MJ. MJ is a comp beast. She's great. Is she the best competitor of the season? No. She's second after Tucker. In the same way Jag was second after Heisem. But she's really good at comps. Now, people often criticize Chelsea for playing against a weak cast, and I get that. I think MJ is playing against a really weak physical cast. Y'all criticize Jag for beating up 2 elderly women and a DJ. That's all Jag beat. They all beat all of MJ's competitors in comics. They all beat every one of them. Those 2 elders, 45-year-old DJ, they all beat him. Thank you, Cubs fan, again, for the 5 gifted. I appreciate it. Cam and Chelsea are both D1 athletes, and they're terrible. Okay, Chelsea's a good competitor, sorry. Cam is a terrible Big Brother competitor in terms of competitions. That is beyond a shadow of a doubt. I was late onto that train. You all were saying he was terrible for most of the season, and I was saying, no, he's going to win the physical comps. Nope, he's proven to me he's terrible. He's worse than Felicia at Big Brother competitions. And that's fine. I don't care about competition. Like, I don't, it matters for the game, but it's fine. But yeah, thank you, Cubs fan. I appreciate it. Let me thank you in a minute. I've got this great rant going. Now, America's sick, Dylan. So, MJ's comp ability is extremely impressive. It's her biggest asset. I do wonder how she would stack up against Quinn in these endgame comps. You know what I mean? Even Leo was giving her trouble in these endgame competitions. Like, a lot of times when you look at the comp record and all these back-to-back wins, at the end game, you're beating the same people over and over again. And Chemo, Rubina, and Cam are like generationally bad at competitions. Anyways. It was like my swear jar. Okay. So, let's talk about the social game. I think MJ has a very okay social game. She kind of ostracized herself a little. She didn't ostracize herself. She was on the wrong side of things at the start, which put her in a weak social position, and then fought pretty hard to get back into a good social position. I think in one-on-one conversation, she's not very good. She often, talks way too much, and I think this revealed itself when her and Leo would talk, and, both of them would just be yapping at each other uncontrollably, and usually MJ would actually be the one talking more, which is crazy because Leah's a certified yapper. But socially, I think she's okay. I don't think she's terrible socially. I don't think she's great socially. The problem is this strategy is absolutely brutal. I don't want it to get lost to history. You guys know? Did you guys know? Jag, he won last season. He was the guy who won all the competitions, right? He was actually evicted pre-jury. Do you guys remember that? It was a long time ago. Do you guys remember? That was almost MJ, twice. MJ was almost evicted pre-jury twice. And let's just remember, let's flash back to the midway point of this season, day 48 of the season, and we did the Big Brother 26 mid-season awards. Does anybody remember the award that MJ received? Anybody remember? The Delulu Lemon. That is correct. And let me say, an extremely deserving recipient of the Delulu Lemon. MJ was lost. Completely lost. Now, she recovered. Which is good. I think the most admirable part of MJ's game is not even her comp ability. It is her incessant fight. She always is trying. Always trying to put herself in a better position. Always forcing herself into rooms. That's great. But there was a meme halfway through the season, and it keeps proving itself, where no matter what happens during the vote, she finds herself on the wrong side after the fact. There was the big vote flip to get rid of Brooklyn. She was a part of it. Or not to get rid of Brooklyn, what was it? It was to get rid of Cedric. She's on the right side of the vote. And then she finds herself somehow in the minority. Just miraculously. Tucker gets evicted. Again, she just finds herself on the wrong side of the house no matter what. It is Unfathomable. Of course, she's winning HOHs and she's evicting her allies. Getting rid of Quinn at the final 9, I think, is, in retrospect, a more reasonable move than we thought it would be at the time, because I didn't recognize how terrible all the other house guests were as competitors except Chelsea. You know, like, I could understand it to a certain degree. Okay, look. Here's the confusing part to me. Getting rid of Quinn makes sense if MJ's plan was to then scoop up Leah and Angela. You know? Because it makes sense. Quinn's tethered to them, or tethered to Leah at least. You get rid of Quinn, you pick up Leah. Quinn's also one of the best competitors left, so you kind of clear the field for yourself to win. But she gets rid of Quinn, has her best week of the season during Janky Week. She killed it. Killed it during Janky Week. I'm on the live feed update talking about how great she is. I'm putting tweets out. It's so cool to see players grow, especially recruits who've never seen the show. Then she wins HOH at Final 7 and makes one of the most unforgivable moves I've ever seen in my life. Genuinely, I think one of the top 5 worst HOHs I've ever seen. She backdoors Leah when it was so clear to everybody that she needed Chemo or Rabina out. Forget about Chelsea. Chemo or Rabina. She evicts Leah, and then our biggest nightmare happens. She gets a lucky HOH outcome, and it makes it seem like her move wasn't that terrible. Because the idea of... she gets rid of Leah for Chelsea, and then Chelsea wins and protects her. Chelsea would have had to target Leah anyways. Like, Chelsea was not targeting MJ there. All it did was turn the entire house against MJ. Everyone was talking about targeting her at the double. Now, in the moment, it might have fallen on Angela anyways. Maybe. But she made a terrible move. There was the consequences of that terrible move. And she got a good HOH outcome and was safe. But there were moments where Chelsea was talking about getting rid of MJ there as well. So, of course, Final 7 was a disaster. Double eviction goes her way. Final 5, she wins another HOH. Uses this HOH to get rid of Chemo, which, good on her, getting rid of Chemo instead of Rubina. I think that was better for her. Of course, at every moment, not getting rid of Chelsea is killing her game. But, you know, sometimes you get misted by the best player in the house. It happens. Like, I think MJ getting misted by Chelsea is not the worst part of her game. It happens. I think what's so frustrating about watching MJ is you could tell she knows it's wrong, making some of these moves. And you hear her vocalizing it's like Chelsea, like, hey, you're not making me look like an idiot, right? So we all know there's that level of strategic mind there. It just doesn't do anything. Chelsea would destroy MJ in a final 2, 100%. MJ could still win the game, and frankly, it's in her hands. If she evicts Cam, she has a 66% chance of winning the game, assuming she's willing to cut Chelsea. In this very moment, if everyone is playing self-interestedly, MJ should have a 66% chance of winning the game. That's the crazy thing. But I think all of us believe she's almost drawing dead. Which is, again, revealing the problem with MJ. She's really good physically. Socially, she's pretty good. Strategically, she's just probably the second worst player of the season, only behind Tucker. Maybe Kenny. So, I'm praying she wins the final HOH so she can either cut Chelsea or make the game-losing decision. I think Chelsea fans should be rooting for MJ to win final HOH and take Chelsea. I think that's best for Chelsea's legacy. But I have MJ at 10th. What'd you say, Cubs fan? You must have... Did you curse? I appreciate you, Cubs. Not out loud. Here's the thing, Eliza or Elika. I think the way this'll pan out is if Rubina wins part one, Chelsea's gonna lose part two to MJ. But if anyone wins part one, I think Chelsea would destroy Rubina in part two. Rubina winning part one is a little bit dangerous because then Rubina and MJ are just gonna make a deal. We'll see if MJ keeps to it. Who do you think she's actually gonna cut? I mean, honestly, if first of all, do we think MJ's cutting Cam? Is that where do we stand right now? Thank you, Cubs fan. Again, I don't, but I appreciate you so much. Almost at 700 subs. What a life. Yeah, it seems like MJ's cutting Cam. So, if she cuts Cam, like MJ's in a position where she should win the game. She should win it, and we all don't think she will, and that is a testament to her strategic game, which is just generationally, legendarily bad. So that puts MJ at 10th. Look, George, when you say it makes you feel like you have to rate her higher, you don't have to do anything. You're your own person. You can do whatever you want. All right, who do you guys think I have at number 9? Rubina, Chemo, Cedric, Rubina, Brooklyn, Quinn. At number 9, I have Cedric. I just think it's hard for Cedric. I think he has a lot of social ability. When he was evicted, everyone was crying. No one wanted to evict him. Strategically, obviously, I think that's what people would view as his weakness. He put himself up as a pawn for no reason. I think there was some reason, just because, you think you could save yourself with the veto or AI Arena, and you feel like you got to beat Tucker, and Tucker's gunning after you. So I can understand it to a certain... I understand the logic. I would never do it, obviously. I think you guys saw me in the house. So strategically, I think that's probably his weakest point, but he was very active strategically. It was mostly him and Chelsea were the ones having the strategic chats, much more than Chelsea and Cam or even Chelsea and Brooklyn. Cedric was the one in there, actively plotting, actively scheming. I think Cedric is the classic case of, if he just watched a couple seasons, I think he'd be a totally different player. But just considering what we saw, we only got 4 weeks of Cedric. It's just hard to make a case that he should rank more than this, higher than this. It's just hard. He's good physically, he's great socially, and strategically seems like he has some potential. But you can't, in good faith, rank him higher than this. Why Cedric below Brooklyn? I don't care the rich tapestry because he volunteered. Lila, did you watch the feeds for the first 5 weeks? That's my question. How is he higher than Rubina has done nothing? Rubina's done more than nothing. But I hear you. Thank you, Cubs. All right, who do you guys have at number 8? I think Cedric at 9 is pretty generous. He was 4th out, almost top half of the cast. Rubina, Brooklyn, Quinn, Rubina. Well, at number 8, I have Rubina. Yeah, I mean, Rubina just was, of the passive trio, T-Core, Chemo, and Rubina, she was the most passive. She was also very bad at competition. She was good at some endurance stuff, but it never really manifested in any wins. She was getting 4th on the wall and 3rd or 4th in the marshmallow roasting, and she won an AI Arena, which was impressive, but she was also against Joseph and Chemo. But she was just ridiculously passive. I think the worst part about Rubina's game is she's nominated early in the game, and she's nominated against Cedric and MJ. MJ wins the AI arena, and she doesn't even consider campaigning all week. She's talking about Tucker most of the week, and Chemo and T-Core start turning their gears and are able to save her. Here's what I'll give Rubina. She's pretty excellent socially. She's very likable. People liked her. Quinn really liked Rubina. She had a thing with Tucker. She was like actively liked on both sides. If you guys are not going to remember, but Brooklyn and Rubina had a really good connection. She was obviously in with T-Core and Chemo to the nth degree. She was good with Quinn. Her and Cam have a really good rapport. She had her problems with Leah, for sure, but everyone's got some problems. Socially, she's very good. She's very likable. Strategically, I think she's shown flashes. She just doesn't have that dog in her to play actively enough. Like MJ, she kind of is able to recognize in moments what she's supposed to do, but then just doesn't really act on it. She recognized that she was basically just a shield for T-Core, didn't do anything about it, was saved regardless. Does she have win equity? I don't think so. I think she loses to everybody left. I think she still loses to even Cam, even though it's obviously impossible. One of them is going to be evicted. But she gets this rating because she's really good socially. She's really good socially, and she actively makes less mistakes than all the people below her. Cubs fan, do you think I rate Rubina too highly or too lowly? All your ratings suck. Look, I want you guys to understand, it's not my ratings. It's the panel. I had a panel of strategic experts, social strategists, former Big Brother winners, runner-ups, champions. Show your panelists then, they're anonymous for their own security. The last thing I want is you guys going on Twitter and flaming Dan Giesler. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate you. Jose, I gotta call you about Don. It's insane. I don't know why I'm seeing it on Twitter all of a sudden. I didn't know it was big like that. All right. Anyways, let's move on to number 7. I've said enough about Rubina. Nice person. Did we watch different Brooklyn feeds? Just keep watching. Number 7. A lot of people saying chemo. Cam, Quinn, some Brooklyns. Well, at number 7, I have Quinn. I have Quinn at 7. Here's the deal with Quinn. He's weird. He's really good physically. One of the best competitors of the season, probably just behind Tucker and MJ and Chelsea. But you'd think he would do well against Chelsea head-to-head in most of these comps. I think he would have won comics. I don't know that, but, he's a good competitor. But here's the problem. He was HOH twice, and he had 2 terrible HOHs. His strategic decision-making was amongst the worst of the cast. Actually, no, it wasn't. There's a tier of Tucker and Angela, and then Quinn's right below that. He's a little bit better than them as players. As strategic thinkers, at the very least. But he had 2 HOHs, and on both of those HOHs, he targeted his allies. He didn't target his allies. He put up his allies, gave them the ability to go home, and it happened. It's just hard. Like, he should be a lot better than he is. Socially, he's so great. People loved Quinn in that house. Even like Angela, who's probably Quinn's biggest detractor, I think genuinely liked Quinn. They reminded me a lot of Felicia and myself, but I think Angela was higher on Quinn than Felicia was on me. We just we can only judge what we saw, and his strategic decision making was just next level bad. He blew up his own position at the start of the game by leaking his power, but that's understandable. He told the HOH, and the HOH happened to be Angela. I don't blame him too much for that. Putting up Cedric, I don't even blame him for that much. Like, it was a bad move. You shouldn't have done it. But Cedric was volunteering, and when you're HOH and you're Quinn trying to, like, play this middle, it's hard to find nominees, and when someone volunteers, it's very easy to just throw them up there. The second one is tough, though. You know, putting up Joseph is, like, unforgivable stuff. He told Chemo to. Yeah, but that, I mean, look, that almost ended up being a bigger deal than telling Angela, but, you know. The Joseph nom just sank his game. He was in a trio going into the final 9 with Joseph and Leah, puts up one of his trio, ends up going home, and then the rest of his trio is out by final 7. I want to rank Quinn higher. I think if we did like the strategic, social, physical rankings, he'd rank pretty highly on social and physical and strategic. He'd probably be middle of the pack, which feels like it should rank him higher. But his HOHs were just so bad. They were just so bad. Now let's take an intermission. How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel like I'm doing so far? Terrible? Proud of how high I have Leo. I'm glad. Look, I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing it for your enjoyment, and I appreciate how much you guys appreciate my rankings. Clearly, I'm a man ahead of his time. You're eating pretty good, decent. Who do you have for America's favorite? I think I'm going to vote for Quinn. It's all in vain. I could vote for Angela, but I don't. She wasn't my favorite. I liked Angela a lot, though. But Tucker's going to win. We don't have any power in this. Tucker, Angela, Leah, top 3. I think Leah might be someone who has more momentum online than from a casual's perspective. I think Quinn has come off as extremely endearing in his eviction episode, in the jury house. I think Quinn could sneak into top 3. So, let's get back into it. Who do you all think I have at number 6? I know a lot of you guys are going to be beating the Brooklyn drum right now. A lot of people saying Chemo, Leah, Chemo. Well, at number 6, I have Leah. I've got Leah. I think Leah slightly this season is benefiting from underdog syndrome, where we just root for her no matter what. I think Leah was a pretty bad player for the first half of the season. I think here's her biggest strengths. Leah's biggest strengths are she has very good survival instincts. She's very good at keeping herself safe. She's very selfish as a player, which is a great thing to have, especially on this season where a lot of people are not selfish. And she knows how to protect herself. That's huge. She had Joseph and Quinn wrapped around her finger. No matter how many times she betrayed him, she still had him on board. That's great. Now, Leah made a lot of mistakes too. Socially, People did not like her in the house. And I think a lot of it you can say is like, well, maybe there's some internalized misogyny there. Maybe there's some just actual misogyny. That's a part of it, for sure. Also, have you guys seen her have conversations in there? Like, it is sometimes hard to watch Leah on the feeds because she does just ramble endlessly in her stories. And, like, she's not good at one-on-ones. If you saw her, like, talking to MJ, trying to... She's not good at that. She won an HOH. A huge win. And she fumbled it really hard. I mean, she put up Chemo and Rubina and then put up T-Core without even the plan of getting rid of T-Core. Getting T-Core out was good as a worthwhile HOH, but obviously Chelsea was the only move that made any sense, and it was a really obvious move, at least from the outside. She just betrayed you, and you could tell Leah knew it was the right move as well, which made it frustrating. I think she gets slightly unlucky at the final 7 with MJ making a horrible move, but as much as people want to dog on MJ, as much as they want to give Chelsea credit, a lot of that is on Leah. Leah just had to be up MJ's ass a lot more that week than she actually was. I think she made an extremely valiant campaign. It was all in vain. Chelsea was never going to do it because Chelsea's smart. But I think she campaigned very hard. But I look, and I'm glad she was evicted when she was, because are we all going to pretend like we didn't see her exit interview? We all saw it. She wanted to go to the end with MJ and Chelsea. Y'all. What are there? What are you going to do? Leah was the same person who said, if you have to do anything too dirty to win this game, I don't want to win the game. My principles are too important for that. She was above lying and cheating, and look, she was willing to lie to people, but her philosophy was that of a recruit. She was not a schemer. She was not a plotter. That was like week 1 or 2. No, it wasn't. It was like weeks 5 or 6 or something. No, I read her exit interviews. She basically said, I wanted to go to the end with Chelsea and MJ. I would have honored that deal. But Chelsea's the biggest threat, and people should watch out for her. Like, I don't think those things are contradictory. I think she meant both of the things that she said. I think Leah proved herself to not be a great strategic player, but she was very self-interested. She was a decent social player. She had connections. She had comp ability. She was good at stuff. She was absolutely no pushover. I think won 3 comps, 2 vetoes, and an HOH. Or I guess 1 HOH, 1 veto, and then a janky veto. But ultimately, she fumbled MJ. She was the reason Joseph went home. Look, it's more Quinn's fault than Leah's fault, but Leah knew Joseph would go on the block. And she made the move anyways to keep Angela, who was trying to turn on her only a couple weeks after. I'll give her credit for keeping Angela, though. She had Angela on her side more than just about anybody all season. Exactly, doofus. Like, it was terrible. Quinn said if you take Angela... Like, first of all, her doing it by blindsiding Quinn is also nuts. That didn't really have any blowback because it's Quinn. Quinn loves Leah, but, you know. No, JC, I get it. Both things are true. She fumbled MJ, and Chelsea, like, give Chelsea your credit. She did that. But, you know, it's like we just gotta... All 3 things happened. MJ made a stupid move. Leah did not maintain her relationship enough, and Chelsea made a great move, you know? I think Angela was a better number for Leah than Joseph was. I don't think so at all. I mean, I think Leah and Joseph on the block, Joseph could go home. Leah and Angela, it's always going to be Leah. I get it, though, Sydney. I mean, she got comfortable, and she should have been comfortable. So I have Leah at number 6. That's how I feel about it. Who do y'all have at number 5? Chewy says chemo. JJ says T-Core. Chemo, 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 chemo. A lot of chemos. Well, at number 5, I have Brooklyn. And look, the first time I made this list, I had Brooklyn at number 2. I'm going to be honest. I had her ranked second place. I had her just behind the winner. I did. But there's just not enough there. It's Cedric syndrome. Deep down, I believe Brooklyn's the second best player on this cast. I believe it. She was really good at one-on-one conversations. She rubbed some people the wrong way, sure. But she was in a dominant position in a power structure that flipped kind of inexplicably. She was running the game. She was top 2 of everyone's player rankings the whole time. She was number 1 for me for most of it. She's just a good, well-rounded Big Brother player. She had a ton of connections across the house. The circumstances of her eviction is just kind of rough. Tucker wins that HOH. It's not great. She campaigned very valiantly. She fought her ass off. And she ended up going home because people acknowledged she was an actual threat in the game. Tucker kept saying she was the mastermind, and she kind of was. Can't let her physique distract us from her awful comp performances. It wasn't that bad. Brooklyn showed that she cannot play from a position of adversity. Very few can, but we did see her play from a position of power, and I think she was pretty good. I think she was better at playing from a position of power than Chelsea. Chelsea's much better, though, at playing from a position of disadvantage. Brooklyn's better at maintaining. Chelsea's better at actively improving her position. What was her best showing? It was early game. Like, there's HOH comps like quizzes and shit, and then she was okay on the wall and didn't win her AI arena? Like, what do you mean? Well, look, I think she wasn't locking in T-Core or Chemo in them, but she was kind of doing a good job of getting close to Rubina. Like, it kind of was unfortunate how it shook out. She was basically just boomed by the Cedric flip, just like everybody. Like, she was the one who took the brunt of it. Everyone else got away with it. If she survived that week, I think she would have been fine. Are the people in the house this season that bad, or is Chelsea that good? It's both. Obviously, it's always both. A good player makes other players look bad, but obviously these players are bad. You know, it's both. Come on. We all know it's both. Look, Chelsea is one of the most well-rounded players in this house, or Brooklyn rather. One of the most well-rounded players in this house. She was running the first 4 weeks, got sniped out of the game, week 5, but I'm going to be honest, gun to all of your heads, they run this season again, nobody knows each other. I bet on Brooklyn more than I bet on just about everybody else. I feel strongly on that. And she's humble, Sharon? I can't believe it. Her and Chelsea really should have pushed against Cedric as a pawn. Yeah, but there's a lot of blame to go around and stuff like that. All right, number 4. Who do you guys think? Chemo. All right, guys. It's chemo. It's chemo. Look, I don't think there's that much to praise about Chemo's game. I think he has a really good social game in general. He's not very good at the social game in terms of doing active check-ins and playing the field and making sure he's always good with everybody. But he is very likable, same way as like Cedric. Everyone just really liked Chemo. Everyone was very upset at the prospect of voting Chemo out. Just think back to week 1. No one was willing to say how they were going to vote, but they all were willing to say they wanted to keep Chemo. Quinn leaves the house loving Chemo. Joseph thinks Chemo is a super authentic dude. He's flipping votes in his speech just because people like him and his story. Flipping people's votes who don't even like care about it. Like MJ and Chemo don't have anything really at that point, the final 10. His biggest demerit is he's a ridiculously passive player. That's bad. He's inexplainably passive. But, and I think this is important, I would give him more credit than anybody else for flipping the vote on Cedric. T-Core often was the one who pulled the trigger. She's the one who decided to do it, but Chemo is the one who actually had the conversations. I think of Chemo, T-Core, and Rubina, Chemo has the best strategic mind of the trio. He went into this endgame weirdly with a lot of win equity. If he was just a little better at competitions, he could have won this season out of nowhere. He almost stayed this week. I think he beats Chelsea in the final two. Like, that's good. That says something about his game. He has a sound strategic mind. It's sound strategic mind. Doesn't mean he's a great strategic player, but he has a sound strategic mind. He's really good socially. And that's enough to get you number 4 on this cast. It just is. He definitely beats Chelsea. 100%. I don't think that's close. I think it's 5-2, probably. Oh, Cubs fan. He hates hates my rankings. But I appreciate you, Cubs fans. 10 more till we're at 700. Oh, boy. The jury didn't seem bitter. It's not about bitter. They respected Chemo. Like, Angela would have been a Chemo vote. T-Core, Rubina. T-Core, I understand, is up in the air. I believe T-Core would have voted for Chemo. I think T-Core valued story more than game. Rubina would have voted Chemo. And I think he could have gotten Leah or Quinn. Or MJ or Cam if Chelsea had to cut them. You know what I mean? T-Core and Quinn vote for Chelsea. I think Quinn is most likely a Chelsea vote. But I think he has a great shot at, like, Leah. I think he would have had a good shot at Leah. I would lean Chemo. It could go either way. But thank you, Cubs fans. What did you hate about this opinion? Let me know. Leah respected Chelsea's game. I think she liked Chemo more as a person, and I, as a juror, believe that is more of what influences somebody's vote. I don't think Leah is like a game bot who wants to respect the sanctity of the game. You know what I mean? I don't mean to sound condescending. That's fine. Like, I think that's a valid way to vote, but exactly, George. All right, number 3 remaining is Cam, T-Core, and Chelsea. Who do you guys have at number 3? Cam, T-Core, Cam, T-Core. I have T-Core. Look, I'm going to be honest. If you told me you think Quinn is a better player than T-Core, or my number, like, here's the thing with T-Core. She was as passive as anybody. She was as passive as Chemo and Rubina, more passive probably than Chemo. When she was on the block, she made less of an effort to campaign than Chemo. Like, she was doing nothing. But I think the reason I give T-Core the bump over Chemo and Rubina, number 1, she's a bigger jury threat. That's good. Number 2, she has a certain aura. She has a certain mist to her. It's not as active as Chelsea's mist. She doesn't use it as effectively. But for some reason, people just weren't willing to target T-Core. Even Leah didn't want to target T-Core. It just kind of ended up that way. Quinn's on the block, or Quinn's HOH, puts up Chemo and Rubina, and the obvious replacement is T-Core, and he just doesn't do it. She just has something about her. She's just so likable, so respected, that I think she does well just about every season she plays. Her problem is, strategically, she's just absurdly passive. People were comparing her to like a Suri, even to like a Matt from last season. She's much more Mimi than she is any of them. But it's very hard to put your finger on it. She just has this way about her, this unexplainable characteristic that makes people love her, willing to fall on their sword for her, willing to die for her. And the fact that she got 8th place is almost a bit of a fluke. It's crazy that, looking from the final 10, it was like, how the hell is T-Core not going to be top 5 guaranteed? People were crying when she won HOH, yeah. Every season, there's that one person who wins HOH, and everyone's like, oh my god. Everyone's happy about it. That was T-Core. Now, she did win an HOH, and Tucker was evicted there, which, in the moment, I thought would be fine if that was her plan, but it blindsiding her was obviously a terrible move. Wow. Tucker gave her 5K because he liked her so much. I'm sorry, what did I say about BB25? Yeah, Bowie. Bowie was the person who won HOH and everybody was happy. Okay. Now this is where I don't even know if I want to preface this, because I think I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this. Who do you guys think I have at number 2? I'm willing to defend this all night. Here we go. It's Cam. It's obviously Cam. It's not close. It's not close. It's not close at all. Now I want to make something very clear. You clip this, put it on Twitter. I'm not overrating Cam. There's been a lot of talk about how Cam's actually subtly influenced the whole game, and he's been low-key in the drop. No. I think Cam is pretty bad. I think if you wanted to rank Cam 10th place and say all these players are better than Cam, I would disagree. I wouldn't say it's insane. I wouldn't say it's insane. I think we need to be careful about overrating Cam's game. That's what I've seen a little bit going around. You guys know I respect and love the hell out of Taryn. I think he overrates Cam a little bit. I think he properly rates Chelsea and I think Cam, it's a little overrated. So here's the deal with Cam. Cam is an extremely good social player. People like Cam. Everyone likes Cam. Chelsea loves Cam. Chelsea hates Cam, but she loves Cam. Strategically, he is extremely not self-destructive. He doesn't blow up his own position. Generally, he knows the right direction to head in. He is almost always pushing for what is in his best interests. That's good. That's a very low bar that he is one of the only few people on the season that clear. He clears that bar. So credit to him there. What really kills Cam, because I said it all season, because I ranked Cam highly all season. I said he's a passive strategic player who's great socially, and he's a big athletic dude, and that is enough to be one of the best players on the season. The problem is he's terrible at competitions. If Cam was as good as Matt Klotz at competitions, and Matt was not good. Matt was good at ball pits, that was it. But if Cam put up Matt times in like BB Comics, and these different timed competitions, it would elevate him like exponentially. He's terrible at competitions. And that sinks this archetype of player. He's now being taken to the end, even though he's going to get, like, he's getting this far because he's being dragged along. And that does not fly as well. Now, I disagree with you there, Lila. I don't think Cam has negative influence on the game. I think Cam is actually very good in a one-on-one setting at convincing people to do what he wants. I think that's one of his greatest strengths. Obviously, Chelsea should get most of the credit for the Leah move. Cam should get some too. Cam is the one who pushed that move over the line. It doesn't happen without Cam. I truly don't believe it. But the idea doesn't even enter MJ's head if not for Chelsea. Like, Cam would never, by his own volition, make it happen. And look, there is something to be said about Cam kind of snowing Chelsea, where Chelsea keeps trying to protect Cam for... I mean, it makes sense for Chelsea, assuming Cam's going to take her to the end, but... I think generally Cam... and Cam was one of the main people who was pushing Quinn to get evicted, and that was a really good move for him. That, like, saved his position. He was never in a lot of danger, but, like, in the moment, I was like, this is genius. Now Cam's going to run the comps. Little did I know. But his social game is really good. Strategically, he knows the right thing to do and will push for that right thing occasionally. Physically, he's terrible. So, it should be noted, he was on the block next to Brooklyn and Chelsea. And if Chelsea, or if Brooklyn won the AI Arena, he gets evicted there, and he didn't even consider campaigning that week. Have that on the record, too. That did happen. So, like, I really don't want you guys thinking, because I have him at number 2, I think Cam's a great player. I think Cam is being overrated by a lot of people. But I think by virtue of being a good social player who has the right strategic idea, I think he's the second best player on this cast. Him or Brooklyn, if you gun to my head. But at number 1, it's Chelsea. Chelsea has so many flaws, and everyone else in the cast has double or triple that amount. She actively tries to better her position every week strategically. She has been, I think, the best case study of a lesson that I think every future Big Brother player needs to learn. When you're in the best position in the house, you win HOH to better that position. Because I saw a lot of people clowning on Chelsea for winning these HOHs. Oh, she could have just put her hands up. Let somebody else win. Keep her hands clean. No. She's kept winning competitions and kept getting rid of people she needs to get rid of. Getting rid of Angela at the final 6, I think, was a stroke of genius. I think it was the perfect target for her. She got rid of Angela. Mwah. Perfect. I give her immense credit for the Tucker vote. I think getting rid of Tucker is her best move of the season. I think a lot of people would say it's Leah. I think getting rid of Tucker allowed her to basically gain the trio and establish her dominant position for the rest of the game. With Tucker there, she had no footing. All of these people who became like her minions would be Tucker minions instead. I think her Quinn move was good. Granted, she was campaigning to keep Quinn. Don't rewrite that history. She wavers a lot. But she landed, it was her HOH. Quinn was on the block. She put him up, and he ultimately got voted out. So she gets credit for that, but the execution of it was insane. The biggest slip-up, I think, of Chelsea the whole season is the Joseph vote. I don't know what the fuck happened there. That's one where I truly believe she just got away with it. She got away with playing really sloppily. Because that was huge for her game. Losing Chemo there instead of Joseph would have been a fucking disaster. Like, the game is totally different, and I don't know if she wins. But she got away with it. And she voted the right way. She got away with it. Blindsiding Cam with the vote was also insane. Like every part about that move was terrible, but she made it. She got away with it, and it was huge for her game. Weakening Quinn and Leah, strengthening the trio, which strengthens her. Keeping a target in for everyone to get rid of. It was the right move, 100%. But I think she made a mistake. But I also think she wanted to evict Joseph and she didn't want Quinn to know. Yeah, but she didn't act on it. Didn't she say she did it in the last minute? As far as I understand, she thought the votes were going that way anyways and just wanted to jump on board, right? Like there wasn't like a lot of premeditated conversation to keep Joseph in that last minute scramble. Or to get rid of Joseph in that last minute scramble. Yeah, I agree with you, George. She thought Leah flipped. Yeah, like it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. So, that move I wouldn't give her credit for. The Leah move is a stroke of brilliance. Obviously, Cam played a massive role in it. That should not be lost to history, but Chelsea ultimately is the person I would credit that move to. Winning the double eviction's huge. She's clutched out these comps at the end. She didn't even need to win them necessarily, but winning them is really nice. It's protected her a lot. I think the way she's antagonized Cam towards the end of the game is unnecessary. It's not fun to watch. It's just hurting her game, but it really isn't having any real impact on her game because of how comps have worked out, but it's just not very fun to watch. No, the Quinn vote, I think the Quinn vote, she was messy, but it wasn't as messy as the Joseph vote. Ultimately, she landed on, I want to vote out Quinn. She's going to win this season. I firmly believe that. She's going to cement herself as a top 10 winner of all time. And we could still talk about her game honestly, which is she has a mist. She totally snowed MJ. She's a great competitor. She has great strategic ideas. She's a little messy. That's it. With 5 HOH wins, 4 or 5, depending on it. I'm surprised nobody's won 5 HOHs. I'm surprised like Cody didn't do it. Driving MJ and Cam away from each other was very important. Yeah, that was great of her. I think the way she did it sucked. I think the way she talks to Cam about it sucks. It felt like Jag won 5. Nah, Jag was the veto king. I thought Cody. I mean, Frankie's weird. He was like battle of the block shit. I don't count that. Do you think she's a better player than Tiffany? I don't. I would say Tiffany's better than Chelsea. I think they're in the same tier of player, but I think Tiffany's better. I think she played a much better game than Suri, but I think, I would bet on Suri going into another season. But I think objectively, you have to say Chelsea has a better resume. I just think it's hard to evaluate Tiffany's game because she just because of the nature of the cookout, I don't blame her weak end game on her that much, and she just played so well up until then. So that will do it. How do you guys think I did? Give me the honest review. This one goes out to Chelsea. To MJ, too. Throw in Rabina as well. Too low on Brooklyn. First version had her second. But I just couldn't defend it. I wanted to defend it. I couldn't defend it. Look, I just think Chemo was too big of a jury threat. I don't know. He was too big of a jury threat. You ready for the season to end? I feel like it's already ended. I think no one cares at this point. Like, people care, but, like, I don't know. You and America would love a Pitbull concert. She's went to one in Nashville. It was like a Pitbull, Enrique Iglesias, and Ricky Martin. If MJ cuts Rubina this week, it's over. Chelsea wins. Yes. If that happens, it's actually over. But again, MJ, it's all in her hands. MJ can just cut Cam here, and then her or Rubina take each other, and MJ wins. You guys really want to hear me over Dolly? Really? Social meeting games from this is very cringy. What are you saying? It wasn't that shocking to me, Jack. It was funny. Like, we went into this eviction truly not knowing who was going to get evicted. And did anybody care? Like, it's the final 5. And it was, like, we didn't know who's going to get evicted. And I just didn't care. And I wasn't excited to find out. We were all excited for the jury segment. Like, Chemo versus Rubina staying. I'm honestly glad Rubina stayed just so people wouldn't rag on Chelsea more. And look, the other part of it is, like, I was rooting for Cam to pull off his move. I think it's probably the wrong move, right? I think Cam needs Rubina in the house. Now it's too late, but I think for Cam getting rid of Rubina probably ends his game, right? Chemo would be evicted here. Probably. Yeah, but it's all about winning. Does he make his chances of winning 0% by evicting Chemo? Or by evicting Rubina? Because he loses to Chemo, MJ, and Chelsea, where he still could beat Rubina. Yeah, but hey, Bub, I think that's results-oriented thinking. Like, if his goal was to get 3rd place, it makes sense to get rid of Rubina. If his goal is to win, you got to get rid of Chemo there, I think. Don't worry about winning. Worry about making it to the next round. You can't have that philosophy at the final 5, Mountain Doofus. That's what Bowie Jane's philosophy. That's literally, like, I've talked to her recently. That's what she says. At the final 6, she gets rid of America because it gives her a much better shot of getting top 3. He should be playing for 2nd at this point. He would beat Rubina in the final 2. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Well, now it's over because they lost the comps, but, you know. You got to keep hope alive. Like, if Bowie got rid of Jagger Matt, there's a great chance she gets evicted in 5th place. A great chance. But she also has a chance of winning. You know, and I think all of us recognize her targeting America was dumb. Even though it basically locked her into the final 3. Should have locked her into the final 2. Could he beat MJ if he wins final 3 HOH and cuts Chelsea? Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think he thinks he could beat either of them. So he would just take Chelsea, but any chance Cam stays? Yeah, there's a chance. There's a real chance. I don't think it'll happen, but there's a chance. No, Lila, because it's not true. Smile. She was only there for 2 evictions during jury phase. Smile. She got 7th place. How could she have controlled the entire post-jury? Smile. She never voted correctly post-jury. But Tom, that's where the sneaky part in Sneaky Mastermind comes in. The 9-person jury phase. She also voted wrong on the Joseph vote. So that one hurts her. And 11th place, she was on the right side of the Tucker vote. So she controlled that vote, we can say. Tucker for AFP. Damn. I feel like you're like one of those people who's like rooting for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. You're rooting for the Celtics. Like, congrats. You're going to get your wish. I'm kind of rooting for the Chiefs. I like watching greatness. Anyone but Tucker for AFP. Y'all, you got to stop. You got to start accepting it right now. Tucker's AFP. It is over. It is so beyond over. AFP. Yeah. Fuck Alabama. Fuck the Crimson Tide. Anchor down. Brawny Rookie of the Year. Oh, yeah. He's going to destroy his 2 minutes in garbage time every 4 games. Do you think MJ would cut Chelsea? No, I don't. Tucker could have not said a word after his eviction, still would have won. Leah's winning AFP. I don't think Leah's going to be top 3. I think it's going to be Quinn, Angela, Tucker. I could see it, honestly, low-key, I could see it being like Tucker, Angela, Chelsea. I think it's a possibility. Just because she's the mastermind. It's getting all the mastermind screen time at this point. I just want you guys to keep in mind how unimportant and uninfluential the superfan Twitter vote is. It means nothing. I think Angela was just way too big of a presence, though, where I think she is just going to get votes. We'll see. I haven't been as tapped into the casuals as everyone. All I know is every single person who I run into in the wild, the real world, every fan comes up to me and says they love Tucker and hate Angela. So, Tucker's extremely overrated as a player, maybe, but not on my rankings. I had him number 13. You got the Golden Boy edit? Yeah. Any final questions? Chelsea's not popular with casuals. MJ is. Well, that is unsurprising. Huh. Why does that not surprise me? Can you name the 2 pre-jurors to be top 3 in AFP? Jason Roy is one of them. And then is it like Davon? No, Davon made jury the other 2 times. I'm not looking at chat. Jason Roy is one of them. And then is it like... I feel like it's a returning player season. Did Janelle, like, sneak into it? Did Janelle sneak into it in BB26 maybe? Howard in 15? Makes sense. Good on the public voting Howard. Goddamn. Howie. So it's Howie and Jason. We didn't get top 3 in 22. Who won AFP in 22? Is it Davon? Tyler for a second. You think we're hosting the roundtable? Oh, I'd be such a bad roundtable host. Holy shit. I would be horrendous. I would be so non. I'd be so, like, partisan, so biased. America would carry you? No, I think America's more opinionated than me. Oh, we've been having so much fun with it, Jerry. America's like on the edge of her seat, wants to watch the next week already. You start talking about Brooklyn, yeah. I'm telling you, just bring in Tucker to host the roundtable. Fuck it. Just put Angela in the moderating chair. Again, patreon.com/Americory. We're watching Big Brother 7, just posted week 4. You can hear the audio perfectly. We don't have the video on screen because that's copyright, but we get the full audio, so if you want to sync yours up, you can very easily. Okay. Any final words? You kind of have the video in the reflection of the window. That's perfect. It's actually hilarious. Appreciate you guys. America and I, just I don't know when the costume stream will be. We're waiting for it to get better, but it's the next stream we do.